The anime I'm watching is Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out. I'm still reading the manga Bug Ego. The book I'm reading is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. The last album I listened to was David Bowie's Aladdin Sane. And the video game I'm currently playing is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Saladino.
Clair obscur troublera, tu courberas et feu. Clair obscur n'environ pas, tu trouveras sans elle.
Reflecting on shipping my first game, Highguard. This should probably read reflecting on shitting the bed on my first game, Highguard. Yeah, I don't have the original post. It was a tweet, or people have been calling it an article. It was on the guy's Twitter account, so it was more of a twit longer. Well, it did have photos and artwork on it, so I guess it was a hybrid of an article and a twit longer. More of a blog or Tumblr post. I've been watching all the Highguard stuff, and if I had more time, I would have made a ton of videos on it already. This post came out just over a week ago, at the time of this recording. I watched Kael's video where he did a dramatic reading of it, watched the Dezembro's video, but by the time I decided to do one myself, the guy deleted his entire Twitter account. People are still talking about it, though. I found the archive, and the thing is, yeah, he's blaming gamers for the fact that he was laid off, and we'll get into it. But this guy, Josh Sobel, going by the Twitter handle JoshyPoo, that Twitter handle alone says a lot about this guy. This post of his behavior during all of this tracks, with a name like JoshyPoo. It's one of the weirdest things with a guy like... This reminds me of when Luke Stevens used to go by the name Lukey Poo. I couldn't stand him back then. He was smug, entitled. I remember the whole H.H. Barmer guy plagiarism scandal and how he acted about it at the time. Not to go off on a tangent, though, but it says a lot that Luke Stevens dropped the Lukey Poo name at a certain point and improved his attitude and reputation, I would think. But anyway, this guy went by JoshyPoo on Twitter. And it's just funny how in all these Concordia games, you had the Gilded Age, and now we're in the Concord Age. But all these gaming scandals, if you will, there's always at least one developer on the team that you would say goes rogue and starts popping off at the mouth. You had it with Concord, the talentless freaks guy, and the woman who made those terrible Evangelion gender swaps, complaining about how it was the corpos at the top that forced them to make the game. But when you look at her art, and you listen to her talk about how they poured their hearts and souls into the game, talk about Concord, and you see those awful character designs, it's not just the man holding these creative artists down. It's the actual devs themselves. There seems to be kind of this impression that most of the devs on these type of games are just going along to get along. They're afraid to speak out. They're afraid to call attention to the character designs or the gameplay loop. And that still may be the case. But seeing this post by this JoshyPoo clown... And again, all these games, look at Reloaded. I never did a video on Reloaded. I still might do one because I have a couple of observations on it. But The game's come out recently, a huge failure because of course, and apparently Chris Kindred has slithered out from under the rock he crawled under to talk about how he was one of the character designers on the game at some point. And that's hilarious because those character designs are awful. They look like such idiots. The main character looks so stupid with that hairstyle and outfit with those stupid ass sneakers.
This is different. It's legit.
You don't know what that word means.
Gugu is in on it. That is why we're going to see her.
But anyway, Chris Kindred worked on that game, and even though he didn't, as far as I'm aware, talk shit about it or the reception, he's the guy who kicked off Gamergate 2.0, quote unquote, when he was with Sweet Baby Inc. and attacked Kabrutus for making the Sweet Baby Inc. detective list. And it's the thing that really kicked things off and brought a lot of people's attention on Sweet Baby Inc. and their agenda. And they eventually fired him, but the fact that they didn't make a point of firing him publicly and assuring gamers that he didn't speak for them as a whole, they instead got the gaming press, idiots like Alyssa McConte and Ashley Parrish, to write hit pieces for them. Not to get into all of that though, but with this Highguard situation, the impending collapse of the game and likely the studio, which is supposed to be an indie studio, but it's being reported that actually Tencent is behind them. So indie studio is one of those newspeak terms in the industry these days. But with this Highguard situation, much like with Avowed in the past, there's at least one dev that starts popping off at the mouth on social media. And in this guy's case, this Joshi Boo, it started with him tweeting about how he was being ripped to shreds for being excited to have worked on the game. But when you see his hidden replies, it was just a couple of people telling him, dude, you better start getting your resume ready. And yet he made a whole production out of it, inviting more backlash to the game and putting himself in the middle of it.
Oh, God, help. Oh, my God, Emma! Emma, get some pneumonia. It'll neutralize the venom.
You other brothers can't deny that when a girl walks in with an itty-bitty waist and a...
And again, I think there's this sense when these goofballs do this that it's just them. They're the only ones acting out like this. The other devs in the team, the ones not saying anything, they aren't like that. It's just this guy, this weird attention-seeking low-T guy going rogue. But this happens so much that it can't just be that there's just a few bad apples. But then, even if it were, it plays into the saying, a few bad apples spoil the whole bunch. This guy, this Josh Sobel guy, this Joshi Poo, exemplifies modern Western gaming, and not in a good way. Apologies for the length. Been wanting to say a lot of this for a while. This guy just can't help himself. This is the era of feminized men, where he can't just shut up and move on. Make a statement like, it's a shame this didn't work out. I got laid off, but I'm going to take the lessons I've learned from this situation going forward. I wish the best for the game moving forward and for my fellow co-workers who are still on the team. Nope. Instead we get, the day leading to the Game Awards 2025 was amongst the most exciting of my life. After 2.5 years of passionately working on Highguard, we were ready to reveal it to the world. The future seemed bright.
The future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
I still can't get over the fact that Jeff Keighley put this game in the final spot of the show. I do think doing that really hurt the game because it was such a disappointment to see this generic crap in such an important slot. It helped in the sense that they were able to get so many people to try it out day one, but it also hurt because of the expectations. Despite the fact that it was dubbed Concord 2, the expectations were really high. Again, because you're putting it in the most prime spot on the Game Awards. This clown says they worked on the game for 2.5 years. That doesn't seem like a long enough time to make a live service game that needs constant content to keep it going. One of the main complaints from people who actually played the game is that it's so bare bones and empty, that you're doing a lot of boring, busy work in the beginning, just to get a few moments of action, before you're back to chopping wood and carrying water. Everyone I knew who had any connection to the team or project had the same sentiments. This is lightning in a bottle. I trust this team wholeheartedly. If there's one project nobody in the industry is worried will fail, it's yours. This has mainstream hit written all over it. There's no way this will flop. I could play this game all day. This sounds like a joke. This almost feels like rage bait. This is one of those situations where you think he must be trolling, acting out, and writing in this way with no sense of self-awareness. I've been saying this for forever. The big problem with SJWs, cancel pigs, woke activists, whatever you want to call them, the big problem is their lack of self-awareness, which is ironic given how self-obsessed they are. You'd think typing these quotes would make him stop and go, man, these assholes are really gassing us up. But he's citing this shit to show how they knew they had a good thing going on. The internal pre-reveal feedback, even from unbiased sources. What unbiased sources? Jeff Keighley? Members of the gaming press? Fellow devs from other studios?
Please.
Ahem. The internal pre-reveal feedback, even from unbiased sources, was quite positive. And where it was negative, it was constructive and often actionable. People who played the game, including us, had a blast. And since we were an independent, self-published studio built with royalties in mind, many of us were hoping this could finally be the thing that broke the millennial financial curse.
All that rich come on!
The crazy thing is, there's probably no other industry for a millennial. No other industry besides the tech industry. No better industry than gaming to secure the bag. But the Western gaming scene is full of moronic soy boys like Joshipu here, who is too stupid to realize that they are all completely out of touch with gamers, mainly because they hate gamers and refuse to give them what they want. The character designs were bland on purpose because you're not allowed to make striking, sexy characters in the West anymore. You're just not. And people like Joshipu approve of that. Like, just look at the main mascot for the game, John Highguard.
Secrecy, which is even more amazing because the game is very deep into development.
A shooter? Pushing the shooter genre forward, being made by former Titanfall devs? Holy shit. And we're greeted with this.
Welcome to Highguard.
Highguard. Okay. Highguard. And right here is when I realized that this game was fucked. As soon as I saw Buddy's haircut, I knew what we were looking at.
To lands uncharted.
Hero shooter?
I am a warden, and this is my
I'm not gonna lie, the haircut automatically set. I was like, yeah, no, it's over. I could tell instantly, dude.
This POC toothpaste ad superhero looking motherfucker. These people are too stupid to understand that when you do that, you have already lost. They know this shit is not popular, but they double and triple down and do it anyway. They keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy.
Even now, knowing what he knows, if he ever works in the industry again, and let's face it, he probably will, people like him almost always fail upwards. He will still work on games with generic, bland characters, and think of his customer base as the enemy for wanting and expecting more. But then the trailer came out, and it was all downhill from there. Content creators love to point out the bias in folks who give positive reviews after being flued out for an event, but ignore the fact that when their negative-leaning content gets 10 times the engagement of the positive, they've got just as much incentive to lean into a disingenuous direction, whether consciously or not. The fact that this idiot says that criticizing a bland, boring shooter is disingenuous is wild. He's so brain-rotted from toxic positivity that he genuinely believes that people who didn't like the game and clowned it for his lame Concord-like characters were being disingenuous. The Highguard characters aren't as bad as the Concord ones, but they're not any good. This cope that people like this guy do, who pretend that only negative content gets views, ignores the fact that if a game is good and really excites players, content creators will get dragged for talking shit about it. All the I hate Skyrim, I hate Fallout 4, I hate Elden Ring videos that have come out over the years hasn't put a dent in any of those games. And I actually agree with the people who don't like Skyrim and Fallout 4, even though I played them both to death when they first came out. There's people making negative videos about Resident Evil 2 Remake and RE4 Remake that doesn't hurt the sales for those games. The problem with this mentality that, content creators attacking the game made us fail, comes from the mindset that so many people in Western gaming have. Everybody has to agree. Again, toxic positivity. Any hint of disagreement is negativity, and it must be stamped out. So for them, if you all don't agree on something, if you don't toe the party line, you are considered an unperson. You are doomed to failure. It's impossible to be able to succeed if everyone around you doesn't think the same way, because in their world, they make sure you don't succeed if you don't think the same way. The hate started immediately. In addition to dogpiling on the trailer, I personally came under fire due to my naivete on Twitter, which almost all of my now former co-workers had learned to avoid during their previous game launches, like Concord. He came under fire because he called attention to a couple of people telling him he better start getting his applications ready because the game was clearly going to flop, and pretended that people were ripping him apart. He made himself the main character, when nobody even knew who he was. After setting my Twitter account to private to protect my sanity, many content creators made videos and posts about me and my cowardice, amassing millions of views and inadvertently sending hundreds of angry gamers into my replies. They laughed at me for being proud of the game, told me to get out the McDonald's applications, and mocked me for listing having autism in my bio, which they seemed to think was evidence the game would be woke trash. All this was very emotionally taxing. Again, he brought this on himself. But see how he does the angry gamers BS and then goes, they laughed at me for being proud of the game. Nobody was angry. And before he lied about being ripped apart, nobody was laughing at him for being proud of the game. They just told him, look, you might want to get ready to work elsewhere because this is dead on arrival. His behavior after that is why people started clowning on him. And yeah, putting the fact that you're autistic in your bio, bragging about your mental illness, is the same as putting pronouns in your bio. Everybody knows what that means when you do that. That's why you do it. These people are so obsessed with anything that they can virtue signal about. It's no wonder we get games like Highguard, where even if it's not exactly woke, although I say it is in its bland character designs and the fact that John Highguard is not a white dude, even if it's not woke, it's still not what gamers want. You're expecting people to keep coming back to your game and break the millennial financial curse, but you don't want to appeal to the male gaze or male power fantasy, quote unquote. There is much constructive criticism that can be and has been said about Highguard's trailer, marketing, and launch, but I don't think it's my place to commentate on that. Why did he say commentate instead of comment? He's gay, isn't he? Even in that, he's acting like he's superior to the backlash, but talking as if he's an expert who can analyze the criticism, even though, again, he was stupid enough to put out this Tumblr post. I also don't think there's any way to know whether the launch would have fared better or worse without the massive spotlight that was thrown onto us in response to the Game Awards trailer placement. But we never got that chance. Ha! Gay! They never would have gotten the launch numbers that they had, but also their failure would have been quieter and less dramatic. Besides the generic characters, the gameplay loop sounds miserable. We were turned into a joke from minute one, largely due to false assumptions about a $1 million ad placement, which even prominent journalists soon began to state as fact. That's not why. Everyone talking about the ad placement had nothing to do with false assumptions, you worm. It was about the fact that upon seeing the trailer, no one thought the game deserved that placement. People wanted to see Half-Life 3, not Concord 2. And the fact that he's too stupid to realize that, or is unwilling to admit it, shows he's learned nothing and will continue to work on shitty games and get clowned on online. Within minutes, it was decided this game was dead on arrival, and creators now had free rage bait content for a month. It's not rage bait content, idiot. We're laughing at your game. Every one of our videos on social media got downvoted to hell. Comment sections were flooded with copy-paste meme phrases such as Concord 2 and Titanfall 3 died for this. At launch, we received over 14,000 review bombs from users with less than an hour of playtime. Many didn't even finish the required tutorial. I said this earlier, but I'm playing E33 right now, and immediately, like I said, I started it last year but stopped because it was just getting too involved, and so I've come back to it now before RE9 comes out at the end of the month. But anyway, I started playing it the first time after I finished Stellar Blade, and I hated the ending to Stellar Blade. It put me in a bad mood. Almost instantly, just at the beginning of E33 when I started it, completely lightened my mood. I was already digging the game. Its presentation, the music, Mael, Gustav, just the way everything was laid out. It doesn't take that long for people to know if a game is good or not. And this is a live service game. You should know within an hour if you like the gameplay loop or not. And for what I saw of the tutorial, it was literally talking to you like you were a child. It probably turned people off when the AI voice tells you to open a blue chest and you open a red chest and the AI goes, yes, you opened a red chest. Now let's see if you can open a blue one like I said. It's like, fuck you at that point. Uninstall. I actually saw a clip of someone going through that. I can't remember where I saw it though. Many didn't even finish the required tutorial. He's acting like we're in his gender and ethics class and we're not doing the required reading.
Wow, Miss Clark. Wow. Why are you showing this to kids?
Hey, I'll warn you guys now, if you're going to be inappropriate, I will have supervision down and give all of you a Saturday school for next year. So knock it off.
Okay.
In discussions online about Highguard, Concord, 2XKO, and such, it is often pointed out by gamers that devs like to blame gamers for their failures, and that's silly, as if gamers have no power. But they do, a lot of it. I'm not saying our failure is purely the fault of gamer culture, and that the game would have thrived without the negative discourse, but it absolutely played a role. All products are at the whims of the consumers, and the consumers put absurd amounts of efforts into slandering Highguard, and it worked. What slander is this idiot talking about? Over 100,000 people tried the game, or close to 100,000 people tried the game out. They didn't like it, and the player count went over a cliff. Gamers have the power not to buy or play your free-to-play live service game if they don't like it. They say gamers have the power, but if we did, you'd make the games we want. We tell you what we don't want, and you do it anyway. Then blame gamer culture for not accepting your side of the culture war. Again, though, for him, his view of it is that gamers are one gestalt creation and that we all think the same way. That's why they refer to it as a culture instead of a hobby. To him, because his side does this, to him, if one gamer with authority, a content creator says something is bad, that means every other gamer on the planet will say and believe the same thing. They're all free Palestine, fuck ICE, male gaze bad, trans women are women, and they all know they all have to say it. If they don't, they get hounded to the ends of the earth. They think that's how gamers are. That if Asmongold says, Highguard looks like Concord too, we all have to say it. But we're not like that. We all agree on a human level, for the most part, that we want attractive female characters and cool-looking heroes in games, and we don't want this soy activist identity politics in them, but they do it anyway, and then blame us for not praising them for it. Even if gamers review-bombed Highguard and contributed to its failure just by being negative, good. I want games like Highguard to fail, because I'm tired of these bland, generic shooters that they think gamers have no choice but to play because, I don't know, gamers like shooters, so even if we don't make them like we know gamers like, they'll play them anyway. Many of Wildlight's former devs will now be forced to assimilate back into the actual corporate industry many gamers accuse Wildlight of being a part of. I genuinely dislike this guy. It says a lot about the gaming industry that someone like him feels so comfortable talking like this, making up shit that people didn't say, ignoring the actual criticism. Ironically enough, though, apparently the game isn't as indie as they claimed. Now, every time someone thinks about leaving the golden handcuffs behind in favor of making a new multiplayer game the indie way, they'll say, but remember how gamers didn't even give Wildlight a chance? Soon, if this pattern continues, all that will be left are corporations, at least in the multiplayer space. Innovation is on life support.
Gives us the right to say what we want.
Shut
when
the
you think about
fuck
it.
up!
La República Mexicana es importante checar el termómetro cómo despertamos en los diferentes puntos con ligera nubosidad.
Innovation. There's nothing innovative about Highguard. If you really believe in your game, you'll go out and make one. Like I said, I'm sure this slug will get another job in the industry. I don't think he has the vision to challenge, excite, and shock players, so it's not a great loss if he's too much of a coward to try an indie live service game again on his own or something, or with a group of his friends. For anyone who has any sense, if they're not so ideologically brain-rotted to just...
And then I started seeing it everywhere I looked, all these fucking pricks. Everywhere I looked, doing the exact same fucking thing. Over and over and over and over and over again. Thinking, this time is going to be different. No, please. This time is going to be different.
They'll take the lessons learned from Concord and Concord 2 and make games they know gamers will actually play. Even if Highguard had a rocky launch, our independent, self-published, dev-led studio full of passionate people just trying to make a fun game with zero AI and zero corporate oversight deserved better than this. No, it didn't. And this attitude is why the Western games industry is in such trouble. When he says passionate people, he thinks he's saying creative and dedicated, but it really just means overly emotional people fostering a toxically positive environment. We deserve the bare minimum, if not having our downfall be gleefully manifested.
His comeuppance will be inevitable, okay?
Speak it into existence, sis.
I'm manifesting. In your face, you get
Hey, she cooking, y'all.
We deserve the bare minimum of not having our downfall be gleefully manifested.
You have done that yourself.
I wish the best of luck to the few who remain at Wildlight and hope Highguard can stay the course. I still believe in it. And so do the fans we reach. There are like 800 of them. I think somebody made a joke that there's more, actually not even a joke, they made an observation there was more people in Highguard's Discord than there are actually playing the game. What do you say? I still believe in it. And so do the fans we reached, who continue to champion it on the subreddit, Discord, Twitch, and social media. And even though this adventure has come to an abrupt and emotionally challenging close, I don't regret 1 second of it. Coming from this clown, his regret or lack thereof doesn't mean anything. I think it was Kyle who made this point. This guy, Joshy Poo, making this post, and I would say all of the social media posts that he was doing, complaining about the backlash, hurts the devs more than anything else. It doesn't help them, the people who are still at Wildlight, but not just putting a target on them. His behavior makes it seem like the whole studio is full of assholes like him.
And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Quem me vinga da mandinga figa de Guiné, mas o de fé do meu axé não vou dizer quem.
Probably is, to be honest, though.